Photojournalist Emily Higgins introduces you to the strong pup Samson in an incredible story you'll see only on 12.
Samson, come here. Come on. Little trooper. Because he was a little trooper.
A photographer knows when he's taken the perfect photo.
Excellent. Good. One more here.
The one that captures exactly what he's looking for.
The cold, clear New Year's Eve on Mount Hood did not disappoint.
Oh yeah, that's great.
Chairlifts full, and the tube hill busy at Ski Bowl.
It's really fun.
The Portland Bureau of Transportation has received nearly 200 complaints about these e-scooters, and that's just this week.
When she pulls this to activate it, we'll discharge CO2 and it will slowly inflate the jacket. So feel free to pull when you're ready. Makes a pop.
Clearly, it's not just the cows who love Rick's music. Here on Twitter, this video has officially gone viral with more than 10 million views. The thief was caught on camera standing right on this porch in Northeast Portland, and not just on one camera, but two. And that thief had no idea someone was standing right behind the door. This beloved and historic spot in the Columbia River Gorge offers incredible views, as you can see. But now this nationally recognized scenic area is covered in graffiti.
You know, it's pretty amazing out here. This right here is the Garrison's house. And then I want you, Emily, if you could show them the other house here just right across the road. That's their neighbor's house, probably just 100 feet away. That's totally burned to the ground.
There are no words. It's dumbfounding. You can't even imagine why.
The Beachy Creek fire took their garage, but miraculously spared their barn and home.
Scorched the wire and started the barn. Now, why didn't it got hay in it? Why didn't it go?
Meantime, an interpreter who helped the U.S. military in Afghanistan is now desperate to get his family out of that country.
Yeah, the Oregon man says that his family is in danger with the Taliban takeover, including two brothers who also worked for the United States military. Fox 12's Brian McMillan shares his story.
I was trying to go to sleep, and I'm still thinking it is a dream. I don't think it really happened, but it did.
Over the past week, this former United States military interpreter has watched his country be taken over by the Taliban.
I ended up talking to one of my brothers today. He was crying and lost with words, couldn't say anything. And he finally told me that there was a girl shot by the Taliban this morning, probably half a mile away from our house.
John now lives in Oregon, but he was born and raised in Afghanistan. As a teenager, he got a job with the United States military. In late 2008, he became an interpreter, becoming the middleman between the Afghan townspeople and local officials and the U.S. soldiers on the ground.
They were happy when the U.S. military came in and they needed help, they needed support, and I was one of those guys who jumped in and says, I will do it.
John was real instrumental in kind of forming a bond between the people of Afghanistan and the U.S. forces.
Retired U.S. Army Staff Sergeant David Benson was in that platoon.
He worked with us, he slept with us, he ate with us. We teased him like we tease anybody else.
I'm proud to call it my brothers, and we're family.
Benson says John's work was invaluable, saving soldiers' lives on multiple occasions.
His life was on the line just like any U.S. soldier when you go out of the wire.
After 8 years of service, John was given what he was promised: a visa to live in the United States and a chance to start a new life, still carrying with him the wounds of war.
It is a great reminder, by the way, because I can't hide it. It is where I see it every day. I wake up and this is the first one that I see it.
John says in 2014, the Taliban killed his brother-in-law and his 7-year-old nephew. They also shot his sister. She is alive after fleeing to another country. The rest of his family, including 2 of his brothers who also worked for the United States, are still stuck in Afghanistan. He knows there are many others who helped the United States, stranded and scared.
I'm mad. I can't even stop thinking about those people who supported the U.S. military. They're left behind to the mercy of the Taliban because, now they're going to go after them and they're going to kill each and every one of them.
They took care of us for 20 years. They put their life on the line for us, and it's the least we can do for them.
John says he's proud of his work and thankful for everything the United States did for his country over the past 20 years. I asked John if he blames the United States for everything that's happened over the past week. He says the U.S. pullout may have been too hasty, but he blames the Afghan government for not taking advantage of the money and support the U.S. provided over the years. John is now leaning on his American family, his brothers in arms, for support. For now, all John can do is pray and hope.
I'm always worrying about him. And now, I'm very worried about him. Very, very worried about him, because there's not a single day that I talked to him for the last couple, days that they were not crying. All of them.
Each of these hearts represents an Oregonian who lost their life to COVID-19. And with more than 1,400 deaths statewide this year, creating this memorial has been quite the endeavor.
With brush in hand, love in her heart, for those she does not know, finding solace on the canvas, wishing to bring a smile to those who have suffered, wanting those gone to be more than mere numbers.
It's an ode to an artist in a studio where the method matches the mission.
You start with one thing, you wind up with something else, and it's kind of like magic.
Paintings as individual as those they represent.
That's really people. There's a certain amount that you can influence, and then there's just who they are.
I could tell you all about Jan Trillinger-Dwyer's process, how she uses acrylic paint, even a blowtorch. But there's someone else whose written words bring a deeper perspective, who day in and day out for the past 10 months has seen the love pour with every drop of paint.
She walks up the bare wooden stairs, the sound of creaking wood.
He's the one who wrote the poem, her husband.
How do you bring love to so much sadness? With bright colors, she's often heard to say.
Jim Dwyer says he never could have imagined that by 2020's end, he and his wife's home would be covered in hundreds of canvas hearts.
This was the first one.
Jan decided back in March she should make one for each Oregonian who passed away from COVID-19.
I was just home and locked down and trying to figure out what to do with myself and deal with my own sadness and anxiety about it.
It was a small project at first.
A big day was maybe 6 or 7 folks.
That eventually became overwhelming as daily death tolls grew. And it's now a public display of the pandemic's toll called the Front Porch Gallery.
There have been days that I had to kind of pump myself up, 54 in one day, that I had to take a breath.
In fact, starting in December, Jan had to switch from painting a canvas per person to a canvas per day. But the symbol remains the same.
Each heart represents a person, and each person represents love.
Now going into the new year, she hopes for better days ahead. But she and Jim both know her work here is not done.
Those that passed, those that lost so much, if they can't stop, she can't. Up high in her place of refuge, you will find her, painting that which unites us all, our hearts.
And Dwyer says anyone who wants to help make hearts or who wants to display some of these hearts can reach out to her. We'll put a link to her Facebook page on our website, kptv.com. Reporting in Northeast Portland, Audrey Wheel, Fox 12 Oregon.
Love it or hate it, the scooter sensation is sweeping through the City of Roses. You think the e-scooters are a good match for Portland?
Yes, I think so. Not safe for the people who use the scooter, the riders too.
I would hate to see this go. This is something that was really good for the city.
But are these new rides zooming through Portland safe?
I thought for sure when he hit the side of the bus he was laying on the street, I thought he was dead.
On Thursday afternoon, a scooter rider and a TriMet bus crashing right here in Northeast Portland, sending that rider to the hospital. This woman, who doesn't want to show her face, says she watched the whole thing.
I saw him hit the bus and kind of go up in the air and landed on the ground. And he just laid there, and it was scary.
According to PBOT, it's scooter accident number 12 since 3 companies, Lime, Skip, and Bird, showed up in the city. And now they're attaching these flyers to scooters with safety rules. The Portland Bureau of Transportation has received nearly 200 complaints about these e-scooters, and that's just this week. The biggest complaint, riders using them on the sidewalks and not the streets, and not wearing their helmets. Also, don't do this. Here's a picture of a Skip scooter shoved in a drain. And another bad parking job, that's a bird in a tree.
I just think it's sort of dangerous for everybody.
Riding with headphones and plowing down sidewalks.
I'd be on the sidewalk and somebody just whooshes by way too fast.
Many are safely scooting in bike lanes, but not with helmets.
I see young people, old people, tall people, short people. I see, all kinds of people having fun.
And my husband, he was diagnosed with Parkinson's 4 years ago, and it's hard for him to get on a bike. But for the scooter, he just I see a light in him that I haven't seen in a while.
Too soon to tell. We'll have to see if these scoots stick around. Reporting in Portland, Bonnie Silkman, Fox 12 Oregon.